Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video we are going to be discussing once again the Ninjago Season 16 storyline, or whatever you want to call the first half of 2022 for Ninjago. Some people refer to it as Season 15, others Season 16, but no matter what we say, we mean the same thing, so it doesn't really matter to me. But anyway, we recently got some new information regarding a specific episode of Season 16 that we are expected to see at some point next year. According to Ninjago series creator Tommy Andreasen, episode 12 of season 16 is going to be called The Benefit of Grief, which as it stands makes a lot of sense for an episode title coming next year, especially following the events of Seabound. My goal for this video is to discuss the overall theme of Season 16, and why it might be the saddest Ninjago season of all time. Ninjago's had some pretty sad moments in the past, but I feel like Season 16 may just increase the sadness level tremendously. And based off of this episode title, I think we can predict what the season will focus on in terms of a theme, so let's get to it. Now, the themes of grief and sadness may indeed play into the Ninjago Season 16 themes for several reasons, and while that may not be confirmed just yet, I believe we can totally infer the theme of Season 16 based off of how Seabound ended, with Nia sacrificing her mortal body and promptly merging with the Endless Sea, presumably never to be seen again. Of course, we as Ninjago fans know that she's probably going to be coming back at some point, but still, the effects and sadness that followed Nia's sacrifice I still feel like will be relevant following the Ninjago Season 16 story, especially in regards to characters such as Kai and Jay. These are the two characters that'll most likely have the most amount of grief and sadness following Nia's departure. Obviously, all of the ninja are going to be hurt in some way by Nia's absence, but a lot of us are suspecting that Kai and Jay might get the worst of it. So considering how Kai and Jay both have a solid connection to Nia, and obviously following Nia's departure at the end of Ninjago Seabound, it's safe to say that the aspect of grief and turmoil may indeed be disrupting their characters going forward. And all of this ties into the benefits of grief title, which we got recently for episode 12 of season 16. The overarching theme of grief and how to cope with losing a loved one may in fact play into the storylines of both Kai and Jay leading into the next season. For Kai, it's obvious. Kai is no stranger to losing loved ones. In fact, he spent a large majority of the initial part of Ninjago believing that his parents were of course dead. However, his parents returned and that arc pretty much satisfied itself. The point is though, Kai has dealt with grief before, especially in regard to losing a loved one and a family member. When Nia sacrificed herself towards the end of Ninjago Seabound, it obviously left a big mark on Kai's character. As to how big of a mark that actually left, we'll just have to wait and see. I've already theorized in the past that perhaps Kai could become evil or maybe even go rogue as a ninja, because I feel like his grief will be a lot different than other ninjas, especially that of Jay's. Kai may turn to anger and be more reckless and violent as a result of his fiery personality, but I feel like the benefit of grief as it is may indeed play off of both Kai's and Jay's trauma. For Jay, I expect his grief to be a little bit more romantic in a sense. Obviously, Jay and Nia had a very romantic relationship when they were both together, and now that Nia is technically part of the Endless Sea and not necessarily a ninja anymore, it's hard to say that Jay will be able to walk away from the situation completely fine. A lot of Ninjago fans, including myself, are completely expecting Jay to just emotionally shut down. I feel like his grief may be very different than Kai's in the sense that while Kai may deal with violence and recklessness, Jay may just simply shut down and not feel a reason to do anything. He may become extremely depressed and unmotivated, and all of that plays into the concepts of grief as well. The benefit of grief, though, as it is as a single episode, may in fact focus on the benefits of both Kai and Jay's grief. I've already mentioned this in some videos prior, but grief as a concept is not necessarily a bad thing. The fact of losing a loved one is extremely heartbreaking, and I feel like everybody can relate to that in some way, shape, or form. But eventually we learn to grow as a result of that grief. We learn to better ourselves, and in a way that's pretty much the benefit of what grief actually is as a concept. I feel like this episode in particular may in fact tie together all of the conflicting themes of grief going on in this one particular season. With Kai's and Jay's mechanisms of coping with grief possibly being extremely different from one another, I feel like those two paths will eventually cross into a single road, and this path will end with episode 12. I feel like the season will focus on the ninja trying to take on a new threat, but Kai and Jay might in fact be the weakest links here. They are both experiencing some type of extreme trauma and grief following Nia's downfall, but episode 12 will probably be the bouncing back point. Maybe this is when Kai and Jay finally realize that the feelings of grief that they they are experiencing can in fact be turned into something positive and beneficial. Maybe this is when they bounce back and finally step up as ninja again. Maybe this is when they finally turn things around and decide to face danger head on instead of either avoiding it or just being super reckless with it. In terms of the other ninja, I do indeed feel like all of the characters will be experiencing some type of grief in the next storyline for Ninjago. That much has been made clear time and time again. Seabound left things on a very sad note, and while I do feel like season 16 may in fact play into that sadness treatment and maybe spend a large majority of the season testing the ninja and perhaps showcasing how sad they are and showing us where they've been since Seabound's conclusion, I feel like all of those sad storylines will culminate with episode 12, The Benefit of Grief. The season may be sad up until that point for sure, and it may be a pretty heartbreaking and pretty down season to watch up until this moment, but eventually the theme will shine through, and I think it's a very good message if the series decides to go this route. The message about perseverance, the themes of acceptance, and how to deal with and process grief may in fact be the single driving force of the entirety of Ninjago Season 16, especially following Ninjago Seabound. The ninja have dealt with grief and loss before, but never really to this caliber, and I'm very intrigued to see how the series actually manages the grief and trauma of these characters that we've come to know and love over the course of now 10 years. Of course, this is not confirmed just yet, and this is simply mere speculation on my part, but when you think about it, the storylines of Kai, Jay, the other ninja, the citizens of Ninjago, the side characters, Master Wu, all of those storylines will be coping with Nia's loss in some way, shape, or form, I imagine. And starting with episode 12, maybe we can see the ninja bounce back from their sadness and those feelings of loss, and maybe finally accept what happened and use that as motivation. I feel like that is what the benefit of grief is. Grief does a lot of things to a lot of different people, but maybe for the ninja, it's a way of bouncing back and stepping up as heroes once again. I think that's a very solid message to showcase in Ninjago, but let me know down below in the comments what you think about all of this. What do you think the episode 12 titled The Benefits of Grief actually means, and what do you suspect will happen with the characters of Kai and Jay, especially following the drop of this episode title? Do you think this season will focus on sadness, grief, and how to overcome those feelings, or do you think there will be a different overarching theme, basically taking up the entire identity of Ninjago Season 16? Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, you guys. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today, and hopefully you enjoyed. This was just a simple video pretty much going over how I feel about Kai, Jay, and what their feelings might be, and how the new episode title, The Benefits of Grief, may in fact suggest the season's overarching theme. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description from other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the Marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.